What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another week of building Coruscant and Lego. This week, I need to make some tough decisions in regards to the skyscraper that I've nicknamed the tallest skyscraper of the MOC. It's been sitting there mostly unfinished for a while now, and though I've had grand plans for it, I need to come together and decide, are those plans still realistic at this point? Do I need to adjust and modify, considering I'm nearing the final few months of this MOC project? I also got a really big and important tile haul in that I've been waiting months for, and I'm going to be doing some work on the Plateaus, getting the top tiled off, and putting in the statues. Should be another good week. If you're excited, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. The more I've thought about this skyscraper, the more I've realized how much work it still needs. So I want to focus on it this week and get the entire general shape and exterior plating done. I got the idea for this design from an actual building on Coruscant. You can see it in the background here, and one of the most distinctive features of it is the top, which is a hollowed out domed frame, which is very unique and looks different from the other buildings I have. So now I'm finally going to add that domed top and figure out the final height, which will be shorter than I was originally planning because I don't want to spend lots of money and time on tile just to make this thing 6 inches taller. Next, I need to figure out how to cap off the walls so that there's an open space inside the domed frame. After months of building and working and planning, you guys finally get to see what this skyscraper is going to look like in its complete form. Mostly because I still have to finish the rest of these, but other than that, you guys can see, what the general shape and structure is, especially this top, which is really the only distinctive feature. The rest is just a tube. But I had to make it a lot shorter. Initially, I was thinking like somewhere way up here. You can see a good 6 to 8 inches smaller now, and that's just because I didn't, at a certain point when you're building, extra height or length doesn't really add to the story, doesn't really add to the MOC, it just makes something taller. And so I was worried about just going too tall for no reason, and then just how expensive it would be because I have to tile off every single one of these sides, plus tile off the bank, entertainment complex, all that. That's just a lot of tiles. I didn't want to bite off more than I could chew and get to the end of the MOC and realize I just can't finish this. So I decided to make it smaller. However, that being said, I am worried that it does need to be taller. I know I just went on this whole spiel about unnecessary height, but I do think, in order to help with the imposing grand nature of this MOC, I need some big buildings, and now I worry that this is too short. But what I can always do is finish this off like this, and then if I feel like it's too short, I can add to it later. But I still have that safety net of a finished skyscraper if I don't get around to it. The reason I'm worried about the height is you can see all of these skyscrapers are basically the same height right now, and I wanted to have some varying height levels. I didn't want everything to be uniform. This isn't its final height. So this goes up to about right here. This is not in its final height. I was thinking about bringing it up to right here. And so yes, this one would be taller, but just barely. So all the skyscrapers would be at about right here. And I wanted, a little bit more of a drastic height difference. So I'm still trying to figure out what to do there. If I should make maybe this skyscraper taller, this one taller, shorter, this one shorter, just, playing around with the height. So like I showed you in the reference image, this whole section right here is going to be hollow. So I can, do this. I don't really know why they did that. I just think it looks kind of cool. So I'm going to have like a little roof, flat roof right here. I don't know what's going to be in there. Maybe some windows or a fountain or something. But I am interested to see what that looks like because I am kind of worried with how thick the rest of the building is. It's going to look weird to have this thick, solid building and these spindly little pillars or towers, whatever you want to call them, at the top. So if that does end up looking weird, I have a solution. I built these bad boys, some little panels that kind of mirror the angle and slope of the pillars, and I can just stick them in there like that and keep building down. That way this whole thing will end up being covered. So I do have options if the open method doesn't work. Okay, real quick before I get back to building, I got all of the rest of the walls of the entertainment complex back on, and I must say it's really nice to see the whole thing walled off, and it's bigger than I realized it was going to be. For some reason, adding this extra wall and finalizing where this stops, helps me see how big everything's going to be. And now it's time for a haul I've been waiting on for 2 months. Lego.com pick-a-brick order, which took way too long to get here. Got a bunch of tile. I can now finish off the base floor, which I'm probably going to do next. I got like 200 of these 2x4 tiles. Lots and lots of tiles. It's basically just all tile because I found a lot of it was cheaper to buy on the pick-a-brick than on Bricklink. Like these are like $1 on Bricklink, but they're like 50 cents on Pick-a-Brick. So I bought a bunch of those, just all kinds of tiles. Just look at this, all the different sections that still need to be tiled off. So I'm probably gonna have to make another order really soon so that it can get here in time before the MOC finishes. I underestimated how much tile I still need for the base floor, but hopefully I'll have at least enough to finish off this corner because I want to add in some more side builds. The reason I've taken so long to finish the floor is because dark bluish gray is very hard to find on Bricklink in decent quantities. I don't know why. In fact, the tiles that I'm currently using I had to find on the online pick a brick wall. I thought for a long time about what to add here and I couldn't come up with a single thing. It's interesting how I can design massive mocks like this, but when it comes to simple side builds, I'm so uninspired sometimes. So I decided to just add some generic canisters and a hover crane and call it good. I've been anticipating building the tops of the plateaus for a while now, because this is where a lot of the detail and interesting features are going to be in the Senate building section. And I want to see if what I have planned will actually work. There are a number of statues in front of the Senate building, and so I want to line each plateau with 2 rows of statues. Once I get the right brick height for these plateaus, I'm going to add the plate and tile floor and start the statues. Each one will sit on a small base or pedestal, and you can see I'm trying out 2 different looks for those, a tall base and a short one. While I'm over here, might as well throw in some more stairs. I'm still very pleased with the fact that I was able to make these modular, and it happened completely by accident. For some reason in my head I had planned this whole thing being built as one solid chunk, and then as I started building the steps, the plateau wasn't in yet and the tunnel was in, but it was already built, so there was no reason to connect the steps to either of those. And then as I started going, I realized, oh, I just created a modular step system here. And then from there, it became more intentional, which is nice because now I can move them around easier. Well, one step closer to finishing the base floor. I still think it's weird that dark bluish gray tile is so rare and hard to find. It must just be that it doesn't show up in a lot of sets, but I kind of would have thought it would have been about the same as like light bluish gray tile, which is much easier to find, even though it's still kind of expensive. But this is what I decided for the corner. I was thinking about like some kind of solid build or maintenance station, but I was like, that doesn't really make sense to be crammed in the corner of a base. Like I was going to do an ATRT station, but I was like, you would have a designated area for ATRTs like the tank. So I figured just some kind of like storage area or temporary parking lot would suffice. So we've got a hover crane right here. And then this canister, I put some little warning labels on here. Obviously there's no text, but that's basically what those represent. So, people know what they're working with. And then we've got some smaller canisters over there. And, this was kind of a temporary thing, but I like it. I like this vibe right here. Now, on to this section. So this plateau is mostly done. I decided to make these plateaus lower than the stairs. So they're actually going to run up above it, and then the stairs are going to spill over on top. That way, people have a way to walk down onto the plateaus. And I just thought it would look kind of cool to have the entire top section of this area. And the same goes for this tunnel right here. We'll have steps going down onto the top of that. I might add some more statues or, some kind of design right there. If that doesn't make sense, you'll see it in a little bit once these stairs start to, grow up this way and then grow out over here. As for the statues, I've got 2 options for the pedestals right now. This one, which is much lower to the ground, smaller profile, and then these taller ones. I've done it to myself again. I've created 2 options that I like, so I don't really know which one to go with. I think both are good. I don't really think there's a bad option here, but I'm curious to know which one of these appeals to you guys more in the comments. As for the statues themselves, the ones in front of the actual Senate building look like some kind of weird alien, and I don't really have a way to create an alien-looking statue, because you need certain colors of pieces and certain kinds of pieces, so I'm thinking about just going with a regular minifig like this. What I don't like about that is it looks too much like a Jedi, and this isn't the Jedi temple, and so I don't know if that's going to look kind of weird or not really fit the vibe. But either way, whatever I end up going with, I want them to be only about this big. But even just looking at this little section, you can see how cool this is all going to look when it's finished, when you've got giant stairways, statues, plateaus, tunnels. Like this whole section is going to be so cool looking. I almost forgot. I have one more thing to show you guys, and it's super exciting. I've got some decaled clones. That's right. I did my first decaling stream of the year and got 2 regular grunts decaled. I normally take the winter months off just because it's really cold, and the cold weather makes it much harder to seal these outdoors. But I decided to start up the decaling again because I'm planning on finishing this mock within a few months, and I still have about 20-ish more clones that need to be decaled, and so I didn't want to get to March or April and have a bunch of clones that needed to be decaled. So I'm going to try sealing these in a garage with some space heaters to see if that'll help them seal correctly. But as far as the decaling goes, I'm very pleased. I made very few mistakes, which was kind of surprising considering this was my first time decaling in months. To close out the week, I'm going to do some more tiling. I have a lot of tiling to do as I've been putting it off, waiting for that big haul to come in. I want to get this wall finished soon so I can start working on the shops and interior to get this entertainment complex finished up. It took a while to design and build the first half, but now that it's finished, I think I should be able to cruise through this next side pretty easily. I'll need to add in some more shops though, so if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments. Right now I'm thinking about adding maybe like a Lego shop or a porg stand. But that's about it for this update, so let's talk about what's going down next week. Unfortunately, I ended this week still unhappy with the decisions I made in regards to the skyscraper. Looking at it right now, it's the shape and design looks cool. I just feel like it's not big enough. It's not tall enough, which is annoying because I feel like it's just gonna eat so many parts to continue building upwards. But like I said, I can finish it now and add to it later if I need to. Next week, I'm gonna be dealing with some bank problems. Namely, how is that giant roof, which holds a skyscraper, going to support itself with nothing holding it up? And as if that wasn't enough, I'm going to potentially make the biggest change to this mock it has ever seen. And that's including adding a whole new table. So I should have some exciting stuff next week, but that wraps up this update. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about it down below in the comments, and I will catch you next time. But until then, happy building.